If you're gonna blow up on YouTube, or indeed become well-known anywhere for anything, you'd best remember the cautionary tale of Jani Lane. This is the short version of a talk that I just gave to a conference of high school journalists held at the University of Georgia. I told them about how a few months ago I was just minding my own business being a journalism professor at Mercer University when a pizza making video that I made for fun randomly blew up on YouTube. I decided to seize the opportunity, and now my videos on food and cooking have been viewed collectively more than 40 million times. Certainly there are much bigger YouTubers out there, but this feels pretty big to me, and so do the checks. As I have gone through this journey, I have thought many times about the cautionary tale of Jani Lane. If you make media of any kind, or indeed operate in the public realm at all, the moral of this story applies to you, I promise. Jani Lane was born in Akron, Ohio in 1964. He showed tremendous musical ability from a young age. He was a gigging drummer by the time he was 11, but it was his voice and his songwriting that would make him a star. Jani Lane was the lead singer of the 1980s hair metal band Warrant. He was, shall we say, a man of his time, and this is not a genre of music that has aged particularly well. But underneath all that hairspray was a very talented young guy leading a dramatic inner life that he tried his best to express via the artistic conventions of his moment. In 1990, Lane was 26 years old and had just finished work on Warrant's second album, when the then president of Columbia Records, Don Ienner, called him up and said something to the effect of, "I don't hear a single on this new record, kid. You gotta give me a rock anthem." Something, Ienner said, to the effect of the Aerosmith song Love in an Elevator. Jani Lane hung up the phone and got to work, writing a song, he says, in about 15 minutes that would become a top 10 hit. He scrawled the lyrics on the back of an empty pizza box, and he called the song Cherry Pie. It, like this video, is not about food. I'm not gonna play you the song because I don't want to get blocked, but check out the high school kids. They seem to dig it. I'll let Jani Lane himself take the story from here. This is from an interview he did some years later with VH1. This is a clip I have used in class many times to help students identify a great quote, and here it comes.
And all of a sudden, the album's called Cherry Pie. The record's called Cherry Pie. I'm doing cherry pie eating contests. The single's Cherry Pie, right? If I'm lying, I'm dying. And my legacy's cherry pie. Everything about me is cherry pie. I'm a cherry pie guy. I could shoot myself in the head for writing that song.
And indeed, in 2011, Jani Lane checked himself into a San Fernando Valley Comfort Inn and literally drank himself to death. Now, people do things for all kinds of reasons, and addiction and depression very often have no particular reason for being. But I choose to take Jani Lane at his word when he tells us that this stupid song he wrote haunted and hounded him, perhaps even to his grave. The moral of the story is this, friends. If you do anything that courts a mass audience, you are a dog chasing a mail truck, and you had best be ready to actually catch it because you just might. Anything you put out into the world could end up being the thing that they talk about in the first line of your obituary. Here lies Joe Blow, the guy who wrote that dumb tweet about that one thing, that one time that went viral for some reason. Anything you put out into the world could end up being the thing that defines you eternally. And that is an especially terrifying reality for, say, journalists, who might produce 3-4 pieces of content every day on deadline. If you're a creator of any kind, take a second and think now if you've ever had a hit, even on a very minor scale. Just something that you made that seemed to get a lot more audience than most of your other stuff. Okay, now think about that thing that hit, and think about whether it was the thing that you expected or even wanted to hit. Was it the thing that you poured a ton of yourself into and you buffed it and polished it and made it perfect before you set it out into the world? Was that the thing that hit? Yeah, it almost never is. The ingredients of fame are as mysterious as they are volatile. No one understands them fully, no one has cracked the formula, and you do not choose fame. Fame chooses you. The big thing you do control is how you handle it when you are volunteered as tribute. When you get your hit song, or whatever the equivalent of a hit song is in your chosen field of expression, which person are you going to be? Are you going to be the guy who resents his hit? Who's mad that people don't want to hear the songs he poured way more of himself into? Or are you going to be the person who gets out there every night and says, damn right I'm the cherry pie guy. I love being the cherry pie guy. It's an honor to have written something that's brought so much joy to so many people, and it's a privilege for me to play it again for you tonight and tomorrow night and the night after that. Which of those two people do you want to be? Which of those two people does it seem like it's more fun to be? I have tried very hard to be the latter. I did not set out to become an internet cook. That is not what I had in mind for this phase of my career. And I certainly didn't set out to be the guy who seasons his cutting board instead of his steak. I did not feel that that video necessarily represented my best work, and the weekend that it blew up, honestly, I was filled with a bit more dread than excitement. But now, 7 million views and millions more memes later, I'm the guy who seasons his X instead of his Y. It me. And you know what? I'm gonna play that hit for you anytime. I'm gonna play it all night long, because I remember the cautionary tale of Jani Lane. R.I.P. Jani. He was good. All right, we'll get back to food on Thursday. Risotto time.